Thank you, everyone, for joining us this evening to review Delaware's Homeowner Assistance Program. I will turn it over to Matt to get us started.
Wonderful. Well, I pulled up the attendees list here, and it's good to see some familiar names. And thank you, everyone, for attending this evening's presentation. So I have been working to catch all of you up on what I've been up to. I've been working for the past several years in the state of Maryland, and am helping DSHA stand up this Homeowners Assistance Fund. I was the lead for the state of Maryland, and hopefully bringing some experience and jump-starting the process here in Delaware. So the Homeowner Assistance Fund was a part of the American Rescue Plan passed by Congress. It is being administered by the U.S. Department of Treasury and allocates $50 million to the state of Delaware. The allocation is really intended to make sure that we are helping homeowners to avoid displacement caused by a mortgage default that in turn was caused by a COVID-related hardship. We're estimating that we will assist more than 2,000 households in the state of Delaware. The program will run from the time that we get it up and running and open applications until September 2026, whichever comes first, or the funding being exhausted, of course. Most programs I don't think are expecting to run for that length of time. My estimate would be about an 18-month program timeline. Lloyd, do you want to go to the next slide?
Yes, can you see it?
Yes. Well, you went backwards again. There it is. So there are over 160,000 active mortgages in the state of Delaware. For those of you that were around in 2008, these delinquency numbers don't look quite as bad as what we saw then. And we believe that most of these delinquencies, these percentages of loans that are delinquent in the seriously delinquent column in the far right, are homeowners who are probably working through the process. I like to say that those of us that were around in 2008 and 9 and 10 and 11 and working on the foreclosure crisis at that point in time would have given our right arm to have some of the support that was available through this crisis. Things like the forbearance program, the responsiveness of the federal government. Just having the CFPB in existence is a huge advantage to us and to homeowners at this point in time. So these delinquency rates are obviously concerning. They are above the normal levels, but this is also the universe of homeowners that we intend to serve. Lauren, there we go. So we are going to create partnerships, obviously, with mortgage servicers. We know that they hold the key to resolving mortgage delinquencies. And what's different about this version of mortgage relief is that we're really looking to solve the cash flow problem for the homeowners. Our belief is that for the most part, we have all seen the reports of increasing home prices, and so many homeowners, even though they may be in forbearance, they may have a COVID hardship, they may have not been able to pay their mortgage for some period of time, or maybe still are unable to pay their mortgage. But generally, we're not looking at this as an equity, a home value problem, so much as a cash flow problem. And so one of the things that's very different about this program iteration and this concept is that we're looking to create a long-term, sustainable, affordable mortgage for the family. We're not looking to simply catch them up. We want to make sure that when we provide assistance, it is really recasting the mortgage in a way that makes it affordable to that family at their new normal. Many of the problems that people are suffering through as a result of the pandemic, an illness, a loss of income, unfortunately, a loss of a family member, an income earner. It could be that someone is decreasing their income because of a lack of childcare or because of some other, uh, pandemic-related issue. And for those that have um, who don't have the ability to recover their income, this program is again intending to make sure that the mortgage is right-sized to their new income for the family. But we also understand that there is a need for immediate assistance in many instances. And so we will have two pathways here for homeowners to go down. The Emergency Displacement Diversion Grant is intended to be a very fast moving, quick hit assistance to homeowners that are delinquent on either small mortgage delinquencies or delinquent on non mortgage housing obligations, or the Fresh Start Mortgage Loan Program is intended to be a deeper type of assistance to right size that mortgage, as I discussed. I think we'll talk about both separately here. So the grant version of the program is intended to handle things such as tax delinquency, chattel loans, land lease delinquency, homeowners association fees, mortgage delinquency, or insurance delinquency. A lot of this, the U.S. Treasury was very concerned about people with reverse mortgages, and so we know that tax delinquency and insurance delinquency can cause issues for people even in a reverse mortgage when they can't really default on the mortgage per se. We also know that these types of delinquencies can lead more quickly to displacement. A tax delinquency, insurance, these are things that can very, very quickly lead to a displacement of the family, as opposed to the foreclosure crisis or the foreclosure process that takes several months to get through. For this program, we're looking at, really, Delaware has not layered on additional eligibility criteria beyond what is required by law and U.S. Treasury. So we're looking for primarily the verification of a COVID-19 financial hardship that occurred or persisted through January 21st, 2020. We're looking for area median income under 100% of area AMI for this program. And of course, just a Delaware residence, and it's a primary residence for that family. So this is a grant. The maximum grant amount is $10,000, and there's no mortgage or instrument lien recorded against the property for this program. On the loan side, oh, I'm sorry, there are examples. I forgot about these. So I think these are pretty self-explanatory, but if we're looking for someone who is behind in their mortgage payments, they can get an emergency $4,000 grant. A senior citizen, the reverse mortgage example, where the tax sale is scheduled perhaps, and the homeowner is at risk of losing their home, we will then provide a $5,000 grant to extinguish that outstanding delinquency. Let's move on. The Fresh Start Mortgage Loan Program is a bit more complicated than the grant for sure, and even more complicated perhaps in some older iterations, some past iterations of mortgage relief programs. So first of all, we're looking to offer a one-time payment. So this is not a program where we're going to cover monthly mortgage obligations going forward. Again, we're trying to make this one payment in order to right-size the mortgage to an affordable level. This is going to be in partnership with the mortgage servicer. The mortgage servicer, most of these homeowners will be in forbearance and exiting forbearance at this point. And their mortgage servicers are being required to work with them and provide certain types of loss mitigation. And so that process for a mortgage servicer is called a waterfall, where they sort of work a case down through a waterfall and provide different options until they get satisfied that the homeowner is in a stable mortgage moving forward. And so The idea of the HAF program, the Homeowners Assistance Fund, and this Fresh Start Mortgage Loan Program is that it augments, it supplements that loss mitigation process rather than replaces it. So we are looking to pay delinquent mortgage arrears if that is necessary, but also facilitate principal curtailment, rate reductions, modifications, or other resolutions that right-size the mortgage payments to levels that are affordable to the homeowner going forward. Our understanding is that for the most part, mortgage servicers will take forborne amounts and put that at the back of the loan. They will also use different tools to modify the mortgage and potentially even, write down the cost of the mortgage by about 80% to the homeowner. And we're hoping to then help homeowners who aren't served by that loss mitigation process and need more help. That's really where HAF is intended to step in. Again, eligibility requirements are pretty straightforward. We're looking for the financial hardship. 150% of area median income is the maximum allowable by Treasury, and we've stuck to that level here. Delaware homeowners residing in their residence as a primary residence. The program terms. This is a loan program up to $30,000 at 0% interest with deferred payments for the life of the first mortgage. So the reason we're doing that is to make sure that obviously this does not become a burden to the homeowner while they are in the home. If that first mortgage is disturbed, so either through a repayment, a refinance, a transfer, a sale, then we will take a look at this second mortgage that is recorded for the amount of the HAF assistance. And depending on the equity really that's in the home at that time, we will look at either a full forgiveness or full repayment or some equity sharing in the middle part of that. We want to make sure that this is not a barrier to people making good mortgage decisions and down the road. So if 3 years from now rates are such that the person can refinance and get a better mortgage deal than what they have in place now, and let's say they have an HAF loan of $20,000 in place. If they are going to refinance the home and there's no equity to pay off that $20,000, the full amount may be forgiven. If they're going to take out $100,000 out of that refinance, we would expect the $20,000 to be repaid. And the reason for that is to make sure that we are creating an incentive for people to use the loss mitigation tools that are being offered to them by their servicers, but also to create a revolving fund so that this money can go on and help more people. As I mentioned earlier, the end of the program is until 2026, and we don't expect the funds to last that long. So having a revolving fund will allow us to help more people. So a couple of examples. The homeowner has a forbearance in place for $15,000 in arrears, and they can only resume making payments at 60% of their monthly payment. So their income has been reduced to where their debt to income ratio is, let's say, 45, 50%. And so the servicer will take that forborne amount and place it on the back of the loan at 0% with no payments. That's a CFPB regulation. Then they will engage in loss mitigation to reduce the payments to, let's say, 80% of the pre-default amount. And the program will then be sized, the HAF program will be sized to impact that mortgage and bring it down to that 60% monthly payment that the homeowner can afford. Let's say that the servicer is able to provide a $20,000 partial claim on a homeowner who's $30,000 in arrears. To get that mortgage current, they would need another $10,000, and so that would come from the HAF program. I think what's important about both of these examples is that this is really HAF coming into play in addition to what is being offered by servicers as workouts, and creating a long-term affordable mortgage where there otherwise, there wouldn't be a possibility of that. DSHA obviously never does anything alone, and we will work very much with our network partners. There's a great network of housing counseling agencies legal services, even the court system through the mediation program, and many other entities out there that we intend to work with. We will create a web-based application process that will be simple and as streamlined as possible. Again, that eligibility determination is really straightforward. We will accept a lot of different kinds of income verification, and an attestation even for the COVID hardship. We need to really develop that strong interface with mortgage servicers, because they're very much a part of the solution to the problem here. Um, we will focus with a vendor on quality control and fraud prevention. Make sure that even though we want to make sure that this program is very accessible, that we have all of those controls and fraud prevention measures in place. U.S. Treasury is still developing the final version of the reporting requirements, but they are pretty straightforward and I think self-explanatory. But we will need to extract data from the system that we develop. And again, we plan to accomplish this with some capacity increase at DSHA, but primarily through the partnership with and contracts with vendors who will be able to stand up that IT system and even provide some staffing to review applications and underwrite the HAF loan assistance. There is funding available through the HAF. From that $50 million, up to 5% can be used to enhance the capacity of housing counseling and legal services organizations in the state. Um, the intent there is really to assist homeowners that are in the orbit, let's say, of the HAF program, educate people about the program, and then provide foreclosure prevention services also for people who don't qualify. But there's really a sense that U.S. Treasury wants to see people being served by these partner organizations to also be eligible for HAF, and that funding that is used for capacity increase of those organizations from the HAF fund, is relevant to the program. We will not require housing counseling or legal services as a prerequisite for application to the HAF program. We want it to be as accessible as possible, but we will build in at every step of the way referrals and advice to homeowners to seek homeowners mortgage default counseling and legal assistance, so that is something that is pushed, not required, but very strongly pushed, and that there's a very clear referral process for homeowners as well. Marketing plan, I think, is something that DSHA has done very well in the past. Looking at radio outlets, direct mail, outdoor media, and digital and social has been very effective. Outreach is a little bit different. We're looking at partnerships with local organizations, housing counseling agencies, faith-based organizations, community centers, even schools. I think are a great outlet for getting information out there about this program. The Delaware Department of Justice is a great partner for us as well in this on outreach and in many other ways. Work with the Department of Labor and DHSS, for example, to do mailers to people who are receiving unemployment or other state services. And there will be a budget associated with all of this to support a call center, canvassing, and events and workshops. Our marketing will be sensitive to language challenges that people may have, as well as be very culturally specific in the collateral that we produce. We really want to make sure that we leverage all of the on-the-ground partners and opportunities that we have there. And finally, there's a requirement that that HAF program administrators focus on what Treasury has called socially disadvantaged households. And there isn't much of a very firm definition of that, but generally what we're interpreting that to mean is that we should be focusing on reaching and serving people who have traditionally been had more barriers to accessing homeownership. And so we want to keep folks who have achieved that in their homes through this and minimize the impact of the pandemic on their homeownership. So, that can be recorded sort of at a household level, minority households, lower income households, but also geographically. Homeowners who are coming from census tracts or zip codes, parts of the state that are where homeownership has been more difficult because of access to the homeownership opportunities or mortgage financing more broadly. So this is intended to be a public information and feedback opportunity. We will also be taking comments on this plan concept in writing. At these contact information is on the screen now. And this is our idea. This is our concept. This is what we are putting forth. This is a concept for a plan that has been accepted by Treasury, that is endorsed by Treasury, and has been implemented in a couple of other states so far. So I think we're very happy with it, but we are always open to ideas to make it stronger or better. And to answer any of your questions that you may have at this point, I think in the program, or comments or suggestions that you may have. And Laurie, maybe you can explain exactly how that happens. I think you have to request to be taken off of mute, and then you can be heard.
Yes, yes, thank you, Matt. You can raise your hand using the icons at the bottom of your screen, or you can also place your comments in the chat and I will read them out. Okay, nothing so far.
There are a couple coming in there, Laurie. Do you want me to take that first one?
Yes, please.
Sure. So the program is, so the eligibility criteria are that the person is behind on their mortgage. So only for people with current late payments. So no, you may have resumed your payments, and but again, the program is intended to make sure that that's a sustainable situation going forward. So if there is arrears, and the family has resumed their payments, they may still apply for AJF assistance. In most of those cases, though, I really believe that the servicers will be, if the person participated in the forbearance program, will be mostly assisting those homeowners who are able to recover their payments. But it's still something to look at and apply for the AJF program. I believe that the webinar will be posted, Laurie?
Yes, the webinar will be posted on the DE COVID Housing Help website. I'll place that in the chat. The PowerPoint presentation is already up there. All right, next question. What is the expected timeline for getting the program up and running? Yeah, so our expected timeline is early summertime. Next question. If
Sorry,
the,
yeah.
the homeowner is 15K past due and has 5K in savings, can they apply for the grant?
Yeah, there's nothing in the eligibility criteria that will look at current assets for the homeowner. We will look at income, and we are going to be essentially, this program is about trying to bring back into balance income and mortgage obligation. So that will not be affecting assets of the family. It is possible that let's say, I should mention actually that we're intending that that for the Fresh Start loan program and the grant program, in some situations, if the family is eligible for both, which essentially means that they're eligible for the grant. So the lower income limit would come into play there. But if they are eligible for both, that you could layer both types of assistance. And so that would be up to $40,000 total. But let's say that the family is maxed out in the HAF assistance and they have $5,000 in savings, and it takes 45 instead of, they're eligible for 40 under the HAF, and it takes 45 to make the deal work. That is part of what can occur in the loss mitigation process, is that a homeowner may be asked to contribute if they have that asset available to them. I'm not sure that I understand the next question. Is this what DMAP given the homeowners? I'm not sure. Maybe you can rephrase that question, Diane, if you're still on.
We have one question, which is, what is the expected response for applicants?
Again, I'm not sure what that question is asking. Maybe you can rephrase it. There was another one about housing counseling. Hi, Denise. Good to see you. I agree. Required and strongly encouraged. Again, the housing counseling network is going to be a very important part of this program, and we will strongly encourage that homeowners are referred to housing counseling. And that there's a two-way set of communications and referrals there, I think would be really, really helpful. In terms of groups for partnering for outreach, I think that and promotion, Lori, maybe you want to talk about this. I mentioned it broadly, but I think housing counseling agencies, legal assistance services, local community centers, schools, advocacy groups, other state agencies, the Department of Justice, Department of Unemployment or Labor, DHSS. I think that DSHA has done a good job in the past of putting together, opportunities for leveraging community partnerships. So to create collateral, for example, that can be downloaded from the website and distributed by local organizations. So you have access to the HAF collateral, but the local organization can download that perhaps and distribute it to their clientele, put up flyers in their in their lobbies or elevators. I think all of that is very, very useful in getting people to the program. Having a web-based application will make it very, very accessible. It would be mobile what's the word? Accessible as well.
Yes. Yes.
Compliant.
And bouncing off of Matt, we're always seeking new partnerships and ideas. So if you have some you would like to suggest that we work with or reach out to, please also include them in the chat. Let's see. How about homeowners with $80 income and cannot get help? Will she be qualified? I wonder if that's meant to say 80K income.
Yeah, I mean, homeownership is difficult. If income has, in fact, dropped to such a low amount, $80 per month.
Okay,
I'm not sure that there are many programs that are going to be able to make that sustainable. And that's the type of situation where perhaps there are some some other exit strategies that are better for the homeowner. But that's an income that's probably not going to be able to support a mortgage of almost any level.
How much of the funding that homeowners are qualified for? Is there a limit?
So again, I think uh, the loan amount limit is $30,000 as we're presenting it. Grant amount is $10,000, and if you qualify for both, that would you could layer the two types of assistance together.
How long will it take for applicants to receive the assistance once they have applied?
Yeah, we're still ironing out the the administrative process. We will try to make that as quickly as possible. In general, though, once the homeowner enters into the loss mitigation process, which is really where this program is going to line up with the service or loss mitigation process, there are timelines that actually um, servicers are required to stick to in order to speed up that process, because one of our problems in 2008 and 10 and 11 was that it was taking too long for servicers to work through that process. So there are benchmarks. A lot of time it is a back and forth of exchange of information. There is something now called the common data file that all mortgage servicers are getting all of their information into one format, and that will be something that's very quickly downloaded into our system once we get an application. That will allow us to sort of get into the loss mitigation waterfall process with the servicers. And but the mortgage delinquency is kind of on hold through that process. So the foreclosure should not be proceeding, and so uh, the timing is I think that the timing for loss mitigation is around 45 days, if I'm not mistaken, for most servicers to get through that loss mitigation process. So if someone came into the HAF program, entered into the loss mitigation waterfall, that would be about a 45-day period until there's a resolution. Closing the documents and so on would take a few more days after that.
For homeowners currently in modification trial payment, does this program apply retroactively?
Well, I think it could. I think it could. I think the question I would have about that particular case is whether or not the trial modification is affordable um, to the HAF standards. And we could certainly take comments from the folks on the call today about what affordable, how we should define that. I've been thinking a little bit about maybe 35% DTI, something between 35 and 40% DTI. So if the trial modification put the homeowner in a situation where their DTI was above that, it could be that the homeowners assistance fund could come to play to further reduce that payment to a more affordable level. And yes, there will be an online application process as well as paper. We know that everyone doesn't have access to online, so there should be both an online application, which is mobile accessible, and a paper application as well.
Any additional questions? We still have a few minutes. Yeah. Will the website be available, and when can homeowners start their application? So the decovidhousinghelp.com website is up now, and that's where we will post all of the updates when the application portal is open. We also offer an opportunity to sign up for email updates, in which you will be the first to know when that portal goes live. Do you worry that the acronym DHAP will get confused with DHAF? And yes, we've been having conversations about this internally, and we'll make sure that we brand it and message it clearly for the public.
One of the next steps that DSHA has to go through is to submit a plan to the U.S. Department of Treasury, um, and I think that that's something that DSHA will be able to accomplish in the next 30 days for certain, probably shorter timeline than that. Um, uh, Things like that can change after that plan is submitted, but the DHAF for Treasury purposes might be useful because it does walk with the federal designation of the Homeowners Assistance Fund and the legislation and the Treasury program. But yeah, we can probably be a little more creative than that.
Okay. Any final comments from the Housing Authority team? If not, we look forward to keeping in touch with all of you about this program, keeping you updated along the way. Okay, thank you so much for joining us and enjoy your evening.
Take care. Thank you.